Hello, welcome to another Tweedy Outdoors video. This is going to be a daytime stroll in the South Downs. I have just got the train down to Hassocks, my favourite station. Alas, I don't have the freedom being able to stay out all day or camp overnight. So I'm just going to try and find somewhere to have some lunch. Let's enjoy the view a bit and then head back again. The weather forecast today is perhaps not entirely promising for a day out in the hills. There are possibly thundery showers forecast, and also strong winds in the 40s forecast. It's sort of blustery at the moment, but I wouldn't say it's exactly gale force. This is that point on the little path that goes from Hassocks to Clayton, where you get the first unobstructed view of the Downs. Quick sartorial note as I'm passing through the playing fields at Clayton. Here, some of you may be looking at this shirt and thinking, why is Tweedy an extra from a 1980s movie about the stock market, Wall Street, some such? This is a Winchester shirt. I would like to say I'm wearing, this is where you have a contrasting cuff and collar. They're both in white, and then the rest of the shirt's in a sort of a colour or sometimes striped. I would like to claim that I'm wearing this as a homage to the South Downs Way, because of course Winchester is one end of the South Downs Way, but the reality is it's laundry day and this was the only clean shirt I had left at home. I'm afraid you may be seeing a bit more of the Winchester shirt as I've now got a hill to climb and it's a bit warm. Slogging up a hill. Already quite an impressive view to be had even halfway up. Hard to get a good view of the Jack and Jill windmills because there's all this foliage in the way. I think it's private property up close. They now rented out as holiday lets or something. Sometimes known as the Clayton windmills, the other one over there without the sails, sometimes known as Jack and Jill. I suppose it would be fair to say here at the top it is a bit windy. There we go, South Downs Way, wonderful. So good to be back. Beautiful in that direction, looking down over towards Brighton. I think that's Brighton. But the wind is at least doing a good job of moving the clouds along. So perhaps I'll be, you can't hear me, can you? Too windy. Perhaps I'll be lucky and miss the rain. Yeah, definitely a bit windy, but very nice. Lovely bracing breeze, big blue sky, fluffy clouds. Friend said earlier today it was a Miyazaki sort of day, so there is a higher than usual cat bus risk. To be on the lookout for that. I think this may actually be as far as I'm going to walk on the South Downs Way today. A glorious view off in that direction. I'm going to head down this way to look at a bump of the Downs, which is open access land, so we can find a nice sheltered spot to have lunch. I feel like this little outcrop of the Downs ought to have a name. Couldn't find one on the OS map. It's somewhere between, what do we have over there, Clayton, Holt in that direction, and over there onto Ditchling Beacon. But there's just this little promontory, little projection of the Downs, open access land. I'm hoping somewhere in amongst the gorse here I might find some shelter. I'm looking for is a little inlet like that into the gorse. Berries on there. That's a bit too thick. This looks like it might be more promising. Let's see where this leads. I think there is another footpath on the other side here. I don't want to end up just sitting by a footpath. Oh wow, beautiful. A swing. There we go. Wait, that's been shot. Lovely. Very nice. Well, I have some slight reservations about sitting under a tree on a windy day like today, but this spot seems such a lucky find, a bit further into the foliage and the swing back there, sort of a clearing surrounded on almost all sides by gorse, so Hopefully nice and discreet. Not going to be staying here overnight, just sitting here to have lunch, so I think it's probably okay. Doesn't look old and rotten. Can't see a lot of fallen branches around it, so probably fine. Right, I've saved you a good 10 minutes of me faffing about getting various things out of the bag. So for today's dinner, it's more fake steak, a different brand of fake steak, but I won't bore you with the details, but pretend it's not fake. I should have done this by a lake, shouldn't I? Fake steak by a lake. Instead of polenta, like last time, I'd have some potatoes. These are, I believe, technically Jersey Royals, but to be honest, they're more like Jersey minor nobility, given the hard time I had trying to peel these, or scrub them, I should say. They're not peeled, they're just scrubbed. They were absolutely caked in mud or dirt, and then a lot of the inside. Anyway, you don't need to hear about the state of my potatoes, do you? So some fake steak. If I flash it up quickly, probably going to put you all off. Ugh. Fake steak, minor nobility potatoes, some green beans, and I might try and cobble together some kind of sauce, something like a pepper sauce maybe. Let's see how that goes. I have this larger tripod with me finally today, so hopefully I'm not so much shaky handheld camera work. First act of business is going to be to get those potatoes into that billy can. Got some water in there. It's off screen now, isn't it? Potatoes in a billy can. Pour in some water. Just cover. Now you're going to need boiling for absolutely ages. Not a very practical thing to do in a camping environment, but not even camping. Anyway, that's what I felt like eating. Jersey minor nobility potatoes. It's all very well having this tall tripod, but there's not exactly a lot of flat ground here to put it on. While that's doing its thing, going to open up today's wine. I have some Vosne Romanée. So this is from a producer called Domaine Jean Grivot. Sounds like a character from the rubbish new Star Wars movies. Is that General Grievous or something? I can't remember. Potatoes are having a good old boil. Slightly worried the whole thing's going to get blown over by the wind. This is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? These sort of conditions. I could have just bought a sandwich, couldn't I? Where would the fun be in that? Right. Not long gone midday, so it feels a little bit early in the day for this, but let's see. How is the 2017 Jean Grivot Vosne Romanée? Say, on the nose, feels a bit older than just 2017. Certainly not in the fresh and lively category anymore. Heading more into kind of slightly dried fruits, not in an unpleasant way territory already. I suppose there's cherry there, but it's slightly more like a sort of kirshy kind of cherry liqueur rather than fresh cherry. Some savouriness, some minerality, grippy tannins. I think I've seen those described as. Definitely some tannic influence there. Yeah, it's interesting. May have to stop recording for a moment just to hold the billy can steady because it's in danger of blowing over. Sort of dryish on the palate. It's got a hint of that that reductive winemaking style. I mean, the base is actually pretty stable. I'm not worried about the gas can being blown over. I am worried about the billy can being blown off it though. I'd survey the perimeter while I'm sitting here waiting for those spuds to boil. At some point I'm going to want to introduce these green beans. Perhaps I'll just throw them in now. I didn't really didn't time those potatoes, so it's going to be kind of interesting figuring out when they're cooked. But uh-oh. Some of the green beans have gone on the ground, but never mind. I do find something incredibly satisfying about a rattling lid on a billy can. Right, I think at this stage I'm going to take that off the heat, let that sit. We can always, we've got a frying pan stage next, so we can always give those a bit of a fry as well if they're not fully cooked. Great. And then in with these abominations, which I'm sure you'll all be turning your nose up at. Fake steak. just about nicely fit 2 of those in the pan. And you know what, because I've happened to buy a big block of butter just in case, thinking I might improvise some sort of sauce, but let's stick a really seriously unhealthy wodge of that in as well. Wodge? Is that a word? Wedge, probably the word I was looking for. Can you even hear me above the wind noise? Just checked on the veg in the billy can, and I reckon the potatoes there are actually pretty much done. So I'm going to try and I don't know, just incorporate those in the pan somehow. A bit of a shuffle about. Now then, I suspect I'm going to regret this, but I've got this peppercorn sauce mix, which is not in any way chefy at all. I reckon I can probably just about integrate that, get at least a little bit of extra peppery flavour in there. What do we reckon? Just I mean, it's basically gravy granules. It's goes like that, and then apparently I need some milk. I'll crack a slush of red wine first. What do we reckon? Wine's mostly reduced. Bit of milk. Red wine plus milk feels like a very weird combination, but let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to declare that finished. Okay, can you see that? It may not look hugely appealing, but let's check a potato, see if they're cooked. Look at that sauce. It's buttery, it's creamy, peppery, winey, rich. I don't know quite what I've cooked there, but actually sort of delicious. Shall we try a bit of fake steak? Well, I'm incredibly pleased with that weird concoction. You know, you imagine it with a real slab of meat. If you prefer, it will probably objectively be better. But that, as it is, I think it's pretty good. I'm warming to the Vosne Romanée. It's got a sort of richness to it I quite like. And with this very, very rich lunch, I don't know, whatever it is, pretty good. Green beans, really what a boring vegetable in and of themselves, but surround them with wine and salt and high cholesterol fat. Well, lunch is over. Trying to relax against this tree trunk here. It's actually got a bit of an overhang, so it's not particularly comfortable to lean back against, but who cares? Sort of somewhat packed up, just enjoying a last slurp of wine and starting to think regrettably about having to head back already in the direction of the train, but there's still hopefully a bit of a pleasant walk to enjoy on the way back, so at least there's that to look forward to. Right, well, if you can hear me over the wind, I think it's probably time to head back. That has been a lovely spot. I really like that little nook clearing. Thank you for the bit of shelter from that tree. Absolutely lovely. Oh wow, that might have been a very nice spot. I seem to do this quite often, don't I? Go and find somewhere discreet to sit for lunch, and then 10 minutes later I think, oh, perhaps I should have sat here instead. Well, glorious as that would have been, probably very windy, and there would have been a lot of passers-by giving me quizzical looks as to why I was making a creamy red wine and peppercorn sauce on the side of a hill. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Pretty windy here, but you probably can't hear me, but definitely a sense of some earthworks here. It's just marked as mounds, not very descriptive on the OS map. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if this some sort of hill fort remnant, something like that. I'm glad I came to explore this little spur. The Downs, this is pretty nice. Interesting, all those little mounds, they must mean something up on the slopes there. That happened purely naturally? I don't know. Nice collection of wildflowers here, scabious and other things I am less able to recognise. South Downs really keeps on giving. I recall feeling a slight sense of melancholy when I completed the South Downs, where I did it in stages, not all in one go. And I thought, well, that's it now. You know, I've had all the joy there is to be had from the South Downs, which is of course nonsense. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Return visits continue to be delightful and different, and there are all these other corners and nooks and crannies that the South Downs Way just whizzes you past because you feel like you've got to churn out the miles. Still so much more to see. Back on one of my favourite country lanes. I think this is still Underhill Lane. Sounds like something out of The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. Getting close to Hassocks again now, but I recall before that just beyond that hedge is a house. What a fantastic view it must have, being in this sort of relatively open field, not many obstructions close up, the downs all around it. Wide angle lens on the GoPro and the longer than usual selfie stick, giving a bit of a sense of the panorama there. Back on that path now, which runs alongside the railway. You probably can't quite see it through the fence there. Back into Hassocks. The end of the path is in sight. I'm more or less back at Hassocks station. Well, there's still at least a bit of greenery in shot. Thought might be a good time to wrap up. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been sort of vaguely interesting. I'm partly trying to prove a point today that with a very limited number of hours from London, I could still get to and enjoy a pleasant time in the South Downs. I think I've been in the South Downs, it will add up to 3.5 hours. Trains each way, an hour and a half. So 6.5 hours out of my day. But I've had a lovely time, and you know, I think that's a pretty good trade-off to be from starting in the grime and the misery of fairly central London. My ticket started at a different station for complicated reasons I won't bore you with. £9.10. I do have one of those network rail card things, but to get from St Pancras to Hassocks and back, day return with one of those network rail cards, which I think gives you, I don't know, 30% off, £9.10. So I hope, in the very unlikely event anyone in London is watching this, that might have provided some inspiration for a day out. For the rest of you, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.